I welcome you all, and we're looking forward to you. Just a short introduction for myself. I'm Chandra Phadke, based out of, basically I'm from India, and I'm based in our office in South Africa. And now I'm in the African soil to support all my guys. Yeah. So if you see, in short, I have last 25 years experience in packaging, and I know only packaging. Other than that packaging, I don't know anything in this world. Yeah. So that's how I am. That's how I am. And my last 15 years working with Syntegon, I have been worked as a solution provider. Basically, I am a system engineering guy who provides a solution. I have worked in the Indian market, I have worked in Southeast Asia market, and I am here now in Africa market to give the solution which fits your requirement, which is fit for the market at a right price and at a right speed range. So that's where I am. I would like to go through some of my slides. Yeah. So be patient to have a just look at it. So this is where I was based at. This is our India factory. So a short clips of my India factory. I think the sound is not there, but still it's okay. So we are based in Goa, a beautiful location in India. This is my plant head in Goa, Mr. Nilesh Vedak. He heads this division of Goa division of packaging. Yeah, because he's muted. So I would like to take you to our factory in Goa. So this is our workstation what we have. This is our hangar where we assemble our packaging machines. If you see this, a complete system here, it is in this division, we do vertical baggers, we do horizontal bag machines, and we also are into a secondary packing machines. Just to quickly go into our product lines, if you see, we can do all these types of sorts of packagings. We handle the top line, which is into the horizontal wrapping machines. We also have the applications where we can pack in the vertical bagging machines, and we also do a high speed, the BVK machines. If you see, when I say packaging, we are here to take the product after the process line. You can see we take the product basically here. After the process line, we take the product into the distribution system. So we take it from the processing line. We take from the processing line into the complete distribution system. We bring the product into the horizontal floor wrap machines, and from horizontal we can make it into the vertical baggers, and then into the secondary baggers, and in the end of the line. So we have the solution for the complete line solution. We can provide it at a right fit, at a right price. If you see our portfolios, yes, we do vertical baggers. We do horizontal flow wrappers, we do BVK machines, and we do a secondary packing, that is a TTME systems. Yeah, so just a SVI machine, a vertical intermediate bagger. So if you can see this is a SVI 4000 machine which can do the packs from 1 kg to 10 kg. It can do for all the types of powder products through auger. Yeah, so this is all about the vertical baggers, what we do. And if you see all these technologies, we have localized this in India, and we do manufacture this in India with the global standards of designs. Coming back to the candy wrapping machines, here a small I think we have a lot of these machines in property running here. We run these machines for small pillow pack up to around 1,400 packs per minute. I think we run for Mentos, this product up to 1,400 packs per minute. So it's a proven machines for us where we run these machines at very high speeds. If you see these machines are built from all the safety perspective with all the LOTO provisions in that, all the hygiene provisions in that, and on the safety hygienes we are there on these machines. Coming back to the horizontal portfolio, you can see all we have the solutions for all the energy bars or any chocolate bars. We do have the solutions here. We can still do a high speed solutions for the peanut industries or for peanut bars, energy bars. This is how the layout will look. You see, we can do the distribution system. We take the product after the process line through the distribution system based on the capacity. We work out the system, the number of machines we work out, and then we distribute the product into the machines. This is just a layout showing of this. And here, the system, how it looks like when we lay out in the customer side. So this complete system comes from us. We do the row aligning in the head of the line. We align the rows. We distribute the rows into each leg. See, one of the advantage of this system, you can see products of different length. We can bring it into the center of the cross transfer conveyor to ensure that the product is rightly turned. So you can see we have a servo pushing mechanism and the weighting belt. This will show the design standards of a machine from the hygiene perspective. You can see the easily adjustable guides on the top. A very important technology, what you can see from the design perspective is, you can see the technology what we have, it is a cantilever design system where the belts can be easily changeable without any toolless changeover of the belts. So this technology, so these are some of the USPs what we have, where you don't have to dismantle, use your tools, dismantle all the sprockets, all the things. So it is easy changeover. In case of cleaning, hygienic point of view, it makes the machine very easy. You can see the weighting belt. we can easily change it over. The complete system can be removed out for preventive maintenance, for hygiene cleaning, from all perspectives. We have a easy connecting things. We give the complete system on the wheels underneath it. You can see the complete system coming out on the wheels, the cross transfer belt, weighting belt. So the cleaning from hygiene perspective, this was designed actually. And you can see it goes in the right fit. Yeah. So this is what the technology I would like to bring across you, and this is the right fit for this market. We will work together and check out what could be the what fits you right for your application basically. From cookies application, we do handle this. We handle this in the chicane system. So we can each divert the rows. We basically make it into the column based on the number of machines we add it, and based on that we can, each column we can take it into the each flow wrapper and pack. Yeah, you can see. And we can also do online pile, that we can put one product above the other, and whatever the configuration you want, especially in the biscuit industry, we can offer you as per your customer's requirement and as per the market's fit. You see, we bring two products one above the other at a higher speeds. Yeah, and this is the last product what we have is a secondary packaging system, the TTME products. We do have this also. We manufacture this product also out of India factory. So this is all the products we do manufacture coming out from the India side, and we are here to support you with the solution providing, which we can do a consultancy for you. We can work out your solution which fits rights for you. You can count on us, and we are there to support you. I being presently on the African soil, if you call me anytime, I will be available to you to support you and be partner with you in your industry. Yeah, that's all from my side. I hand it over to Mr.
Thanks, Chandra. Thanks for closing. If there are any questions or specifics around the products or around your requirements, as the MC indicated, we are going to have a separate session afterwards where we can talk about, in a breakout session, about your requirements and what we need to do from our side. Even if it's just a technical question or support, give us a shout. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please give the guys from Centagon a round of applause, please. Thank you indeed. Thank you. Well, I'm sure holding on in the fringes and getting ready for it, may I respectfully look Also, at Global Trends and Sustainable Solutions, a focus on filing and capping and confectionery and bar technologies. Andreaz Leitze, Sales Director, Hansella, to please come talk to us and see how our interests will keep festering from here on. Andreaz Leitze, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you very much. Warm welcome from my side also to everybody here. Thank you very much for spending your time here today, and I hope that I can share some trends which may be of value for you. Of course, I also want to thank to EMSA for organizing this event and for giving us the opportunity to speak here. And I also would like to underline what Mr. Jahr said this morning. For sure, Africa is today is, or let's say the next years will be the years of Africa, and it will be the years of Nigeria as a leading country in this continent. Yeah? And but of course, for Africa to grow, you need a lot of brave entrepreneurial decisions. Yeah, businesses has to grow. You have to invest. And I would like to give you a few ideas of where I can invest in. And so let me start by giving you. Let's see. Just a second. Can I move? Perfect. Yeah. So I will give you a short overview of Hansella. Yeah, who are we? Where are we coming from? And then I would like to look together with you into trends in confectionery. Yeah. The trends I brought with me today are global trends, and for sure they do not all fit to Africa. For sure you have to customize them, adapt them, or maybe find completely other products for the African market. But we do have the experience to jointly with you develop products, modify products. So we are really with a 102 years history in confectionery production and confectionery development. And we would be happy to support you in finding the right products for your market. So Hansella. Hansella has been founded 102 years ago in Germany. Our founder was a confectionery manufacturer, so he was standing in the kitchen producing hard candies at that time. And at some point he was thinking, wow, this job is so hard, so labor intensive, I have to find machines to make this more efficient. Yeah? So he basically founded his own workshop and developed machines to make confectionery production easier. Yeah? And this is our let's say, foundation since 102 years. In 1965, we became part of the Bosch Group. Yeah, so for nearly, how many years is it? 55 years we were part of Bosch Packaging and supplying the process lines to all the nice packaging systems my colleagues from Syntegon have presented earlier. And today we are part of Rotzinger. Rotzinger is a Swiss-based group of companies specializing in food processing and food handling. So this is a short aerial view of our facility in Germany. Currently we are roughly 150 experts and doing 50 million in turnover. And we are basically very strong in candy production, bar production, also chocolate enrobing and filling and capping. Okay, the Rotzinger Group total at the moment it's 8 companies, and as I said before, we are handling of products, buffering of products, production of bars, enrobing of biscuits and other products. This is what the Rotzinger Group can offer. And well, basically we have done this for a long time, and we have more or less very many global clients who are working on our products. Of course, also in Africa. So one slide back. So this is what we do, what I said, bar lines, candy lines, chocolate enrobing, this is what we can offer to the confectionery industry. I'm sorry. The presentation. So again, here you see a few examples of our technology. So we do have complete kitchen and process equipment for bars. We have the forming lines for bars, and I will show you a few trends in the bar sector later. And for hard candy, as we have been founded with 102 years ago, we do offer complete cooking and forming lines for hard candy, as well as extrusion and forming lines for gum. Yeah. Gum, I'm not talking much about gum today, but globally, gum is not very strong growing, I have to say. But I'm not so sure about Africa, or the African continent in total, so we see a little bit more potential also for chewing gum. So if you don't like to talk about chewing gum, I'm also later in the breakout session over there at our booth. Always. So, and the third pillar in our confectionery business is chocolate enrobing. So what we can do, of course, we enrobe bars, but we can also enrobe, for example, biscuits, or also interesting products, rice wafers, yeah, things like that. I talk about this later. And after enrobing, of course, you always need a cooling tunnel. Also, if you have any cooling challenges, yeah, we are, I would say, the experts in cooling. Yeah, whenever you come with a product out of an oven, or you have to cool chocolate, or in somewhere in your processing step you have to cool, please talk to us. We have convection cooling tunnels, radiation cooling tunnels. We have what we call impinging cooling tunnels, which significantly reduce your cooling time by having a very high airflow. So if you, for example, have a production line and you don't have enough length in your facility, and you have to increase your cooling capacity, we have very nice solutions for that. And well, today mainly I wanted to talk about confectionery, but just as a side note, we're also into the filling and capping business. So filling of pharmaceuticals into bottles, cough syrups, mouthwashes, etc. We have very nice machine technology, and also for cosmetics. Yeah, so for example, L'Oreal or Beiersdorf are our clients when it comes to shampoo or conditioner filling. So now let's talk about candy and products finally. Maybe I hope to give you some inspiration, some ideas on what kind of products might be interesting. Sorry, it's always too big. So first thing, I have integrated a small slide of Syntegon because as I said before, we all come from the Bosch packaging group, and for sure, Syntegon is still doing the candy, the jelly manufacturing lines with the Makat brand. And globally, gummy products are still growing and booming, especially when you add some additional value to the gummies. This could be vitamin supplements or some other supplements to increase your health. But also we do see a trend to make this product pure fruit. So you can make a pectin-based gummy which is purely 100% fruit-based. And then usually you have two production technologies. One is the large Mogul line, what Syntegon and Makat is providing, huge capacity, very nice technology, very flexible. If you want to start smaller, we have, there's another German company, Krüger and Saarlecker, offering what they call hot forming technology. So this is a limited range, but if you want to start small with pectin-based or fruit-based product, this is a very nice small footprint technology to start in a pectin or gummy sector. So another trend. I'm sorry. So another trend, it's actually a product out there for 100 years, is lozenges, hard candies. And we haven't seen much growth here for many, many years. But now we are in a post-COVID situation. And strangely enough, in most parts of the world, all hard candy or lozenge manufacturers I know are producing at the capacity limits. People are getting more colds. People are getting more need for throat medicine or for fresh breath after smoking. But we see enormous demand in this kind of technology. And when it comes to Hansella, if you look to highest forming speeds, if you're looking for best forming results, yeah, like you see the R of the auricula, like the imprint in the lozenge, yeah, things like this. Or if you look for also something mentioned earlier this morning, sustainability. Hard candy production is a very energy-intensive process. If you would like to have this process with less energy, we have very nice technology solutions for that. So I wouldn't say hard candy is dead. At the moment, we see a really boom for hard candy and lozenges globally. Yeah? And I haven't seen it too much in Africa yet, so maybe also because COVID hit Africa different than the rest of the world, maybe that's the reason. But still, consider this, it's definitely booming in many parts of the world. It's always two back when I want to go one ahead, strange. So now I would like to talk with you about bars. Yeah. So you just, Fatke showed you very nice bar packaging systems. And we have the production systems for bars. As you can see, we would categorize bars into candy bars, cereal bars, nut and seed bars, fruit bars, functional bars, and, well, everything else, I would say. Candy bars is quite a well-known product. And, sorry. There's one interesting thing about a candy bar, especially if you look at a Mars type bar, it's significant lower cost of ingredients compared to a molded chocolate bar. Yeah. It's still the same because the center which you have here, this is mainly made out of sugar. Yeah. So, which is lower in cost than your chocolate. Of course, you still have the problem of the cooling chain, but we see that the candy bar is coming, especially in, let's say, in regions, in the hotter regions now. Once you have the supply chains, the cool supply chains under control, the door is open actually for chocolate. And if you want to go chocolate, it's an expensive product, but if you do like a candy bar, you have a big product, you have a product which gives you a good mouthfeel and at the same time has lower production cost. If you go for globally, we also see, of course, cereal bars, health bars, meal replacements are a trend. And again, a standard cereal bar might be a little bit dry. So a nice idea is to, for example, put in a fruit pectin layer to give it a very fruity and good taste. Okay, and of course, bar lines. You can do bars with a lot of natural ingredients like nuts, fruits, other things. But of course, these kind of bars usually are in the higher price segment due to the cost of the ingredients. And this, for example, also is a bar line actually. You can do nice cubes. Yeah, cut like 15 times 15 millimeter cubes and sell them as snack. You can make those on a bar line as well. And then a product which I guess is also quite well known is what we call a brittle bar. This is more like a very high boiled sugar binder, and you usually have peanuts or sesame seeds or something to make a brittle bar out of this. Again, it's more or less the same equipment, you can use it. And this is also the beauty of a bar line, that you can use a huge variety of products on one production and one packaging system. Last but not least, also fruit bars are trending in some areas, especially as meal replacement, as healthy snack. So these bars are usually made only with pure fruits. Yeah, these, for example, in the center is only dried apple and strawberries, and if you mix and treat them the right way, there are no other ingredients in this bar. And last but not least, coming to the higher price point, especially we see a big trend on protein bars, fitness bars, things you do after sport and workout to enhance muscle growth. This is bars as, let's say, a good for you bar. Could be protein, could be other vitamins or minerals in the bar. And this is definitely a global trend, which is growing. I don't know how much you look in the medias, but like companies like Mondelez, like Mars, are buying smaller companies, producing those products for hundreds of millions. So this is really a trend. And another bar I want to share with you is a puffed rice bar. Of course, you can also, this is again on the lower price point, you can use puffed rice and use, for example, a marshmallow binder to give it a more chewy bar, but you can also do it more brittle, like the rice wafers I showed to you before. And rice wafer is a very light product, and if you then enrobe it, you get again a big product with very little chocolate, but a good chocolate taste. It's another nice opportunity to let's say, give your customers a large volume with a chocolate taste, and at the same time have low production costs. Yeah, also this product is again puffed rice with pure chocolate as binder. Also that's possible. I have a few samples here with those products also sold in a bar shape. Yeah, if you're interested in those products, come to my booth later and we can have a more detailed chat about it. And as a last product trend, still the chewy product. It's again a product well known for a long time, but we don't think it's dead. Yeah? It's still growing, especially if you still have a not existing cold chain, the eclair product, like having chocolate inside a caramel center, so it can't melt. Yeah? It's a nice product. Again, these products you can have in a very high value position with real milk, with very expensive ingredients, or you can have it at a low end point with a lot of sugar and mostly flavor in it. Yeah? So the range again is very wide for chewy products. And also the chewy product, I have a few samples here, are very well usable for putting in supplements, powders, and maybe also special African powders. I don't know what is consumed here for health, for digestion or whatever. You can put those powders into chewy candies. For example, at the moment in the US, people like to use chewy candies with calcium as against heartburn. Yeah? And this is a trend over there. We also see other powders mixed into chewy candies. And last but not least, no, I'm... That was not me. Last but not least, also, of course, the chewy candy is a very nice product appealing to kids with a lot of colors, fillings, or whatever. Yeah. So, again, I have many samples here, chewing gum bars, chewy candies, rice wafers, and I would be happy to discuss those with you later today. And this is more or less all from me from now, and I would be happy to have more discussions with you later. Thank you for your attention.
Andreaz Leitze, gentlemen and ladies. Another round of applause for him. Thank you very much. I love the chewy, but my teeth are still okay. Indeed, well, these are some of the things we look up to, and for all of us who are parents, all of us, you know, children cannot get away from these things. And even some of us too who are, how do you call those tooths? Sorry? Sweet tooth? Nigeria can't get any worse. It has to start getting better. So let's keep our sweet tooth up so that business can keep going up, and we too can encourage the sweet toothers to be as faithful forever. Amen. At least you saw a church thing come on through while we were doing that. So thank you very much indeed. And that's the Hansella group. And of course, for questions and all the things you will need, we're coming to that area where Hansella is, where you have their stand right around the corner. And of course, you'll be able to talk and ask all the questions that is needed for us. Next, we go to the Baker Perkins group, which is the Schenck processing. This is still about talking trends in processing technologies, a focus on size reduction, bakery technologies, biscuit, cereal processing, and all of that. The Senior Vice President, Corporate Development and Communication of Schenck Processing, Sebastian Luttkus. Please give him a round of applause. Sebastian, Senior Vice President.
Yes, hello.
I'm taller than you.
Is he? See? You're not taller.
I'm not taller.
No, just look at the screen there.
I hate to turn round, you know, because it's just going to make me feel like. Anyway, gentlemen, let's hear the Baker Perkins own machineries and, of course, their presentation to us. Welcome.
Thank you. So even though I'm taller than you, maybe I'm not tall enough, so I'm just standing here on the speech. So also warm welcome from my side. I'm Sebastian Luttkus. I'm from Germany, basically coming all the way here. It's the first time in Nigeria, and I'm very happy to be here. So thank you, Shakirat, for the warm welcome and also the nice invitation. I'm giving today a presentation about Schenck Process and all of the different brands that we have in our portfolio, which is basically we market products under the Schenck Process brand name, as well as Baker Perkins and Chemitech brand name. Our company is actually comprised of several different sectors, but today I will be talking about the business unit Food and Performance Materials. Yep. And if we move to the next slide here, to describe Schenck Process, Food and Performance Materials in one word, it would be commitment. And why is that? Oh, thank you. Because it is actually us who are delivering on the processes that protect our, it is already there, our customers' brands and finally sustain us all. And what do I mean by that? We have heard about COVID earlier today. Maybe it was not as impactful here in Africa, but it was definitely in other parts of the world. So COVID 2 years ago was everywhere. And actually, Schenck Process is everywhere as well. So if you walk down a supermarket aisle, you will find our solutions essentially in almost every aisle. So really talking about bread. Bread is produced in our machines. Talking about breakfast cereals. We produce breakfast cereals on our machines as well. Talking about alternative meat analogs. This is produced in our machines again. Extruded snacks, as well as also nicely deposited candies, be it in a hard form or also soft candies. This is all produced in our machines. Now, even walking into a DIY store, you will find our products everywhere. I mean, the products that are produced in our machines. So essentially, walking down an aisle in a DIY store, you will find paint to paint your walls that was, again, produced in our machines. You will basically also find the technologies that are included and the materials that are included in batteries that were processed on our machines. So you can really see that the majority of processes in your everyday life, we have an impact on that. And we take that very seriously. So we understand that actually we are our own customers because you produce the products that we, again, as people, buy from you guys. So we take that very seriously. And trust me, I don't want to eat something that is basically contaminated with something that is really hurting someone. So we take our job seriously. And we want you to be successful in producing the equipment, the final ingredients as well. So we really take pride in everything that we do, and we always get the job done. So we take you as the customer first, and we don't put something on you to tell you, okay, this is basically how it has to be done. We listen to you, what you really want, and we guide you through the process together. So we understand ourselves as a consultant to get the job done as you need it to be. And we don't shy away from complex situations. So no matter how complex your production challenge is, we are there for you, and we always do what we say. We essentially make your processes work. So talking a little bit about Schenck Food and Performance Materials in totality here. I know figures can be sometimes boring, but we are 1,300 experts across the globe. I think for another purpose, we conducted most recently a survey how many engineering years we have in terms of experience existing in our company, and that concluded into a ridiculous number of 2,700 years. So can you imagine that? I guess we know really what we do. And you can see that when you walk down in our production sites, people are really passionate about what they're doing. If you walk down in the offices and you see the engineers, they are really passionate to get the job done for the customer. And you really see that it's not basically someone sitting in an office isolated somewhere or even somewhere in a dark room or so. It's really people communicating and collaborating. Especially after COVID now, we have so many calls with customers where we share in an online forum the progress of our products and the progress of your project, and we really want to get it done with you together. Our products are being produced essentially in 4 major production sites. They reside in the UK, in Europe, as well as 1 production site in Thailand and in APEC, and 2 production sites in the North American region. In addition to that, of course, it's not basically stopping when the equipment is being produced, but we have a lifetime job to support you, right? So just because the equipment is there in your manufacturing site doesn't mean the job is done. No, we are there for you as a partner, and we take that, again, very seriously, and we service you from 8 different service hubs across the world. And just recently, we have also started to support you also with our remote capabilities, so that no matter how remote your location is, as long as you have some kind of connection, we are also able to support you from afar. Some boring numbers here, 430 patents. We invest into R&D because we understand that basically the world is continuing to turn around, right? So it's what maybe was good yesterday isn't good enough tomorrow. We have technology hubs as well as test and innovation centers, and I will touch on that in a couple of minutes here. So, talking a little bit about the history of our company. Essentially, Schenck process started back in 1882, and we started outside of food, and food only came to our group with acquisitions, and we only acquired back in 2011 a company that is called Mac Equipment. But of course, the individual companies that came to our group over the time, they have century-long experience as well. So you will hear from Ellen and Ellen. I don't essentially know the exact year, but I know that Baker Perkins was founded back in the early 1800s. So also more than a century of experience back there. And when we're talking about acquisitions, we're not talking about acquisitions just to blur up our P&L. We talk about adding real capabilities. So either we acquire a company because we want to move into a new end market, or we acquire a company because we have identified that in our solutions offering, there was a gap that we wanted to close. So our business division is called Food and Performance Materials for a simple reason, because we provide products for the food sector as well as the performance materials sector. And we know that there are a lot of global megatrends, and we've heard about global megatrends already earlier today. So let me just touch base on 2 here. Today, we are already more than 7.5 billion people on this globe. And tomorrow, I think, I just looked it up, by 2100, that number is expected to grow to more than 10 billion people. So we are adding 2.5 million bodies to this world. And if you think about traditional ways how to feed people, it is simply not possible because we don't have enough landmass to feed the people in the traditional way. So we have to really rethink how we are feeding the world. And this is particularly important for you sitting here in the center of Africa, because obviously the majority of the world population growth is coming from the African continent. So if you want to basically feed all of these additional bodies, we really have to partner together and come up with an intelligent way how to do that. And you will hear more from my colleague Alan after I finish here, how we think about alternative proteins and what trends are going on in that area there. And with that trend, another trend that I wanted to touch base on, which is basically growing affluence of the middle class. So more and more people across the world will have access to more available income. And that means they will also have access, or let's say the possibility, to eat processed foods. And that's basically something where we want to partner with you to see basically how we can grow your business together with us and our solution offering. So when we talk about all of the different end markets, oh, sorry, I just realized that the slides didn't move. So that's what you're supposed to see beforehand. There we go. So when we talk about the food sector for a second here, we offer solutions for a variety of subsectors, which is basically pet food. In essence, we are the global market leader for providing end-to-end solutions for the pet industry. We offer solutions for the confectionery and nutraceuticals industry, where actually there is quite a bit of a momentum going on, specifically in the nutraceuticals area. I touched base on alternative proteins already. We offer solutions for the bakery industry, cereals, base ingredients, so talking about, for example, moving and processing wheat, or also about spices, extruded foods, dairy industry, as well as biscuits and cookies. So when we talk about Schenck process, we understand ourselves as basically the complete solutions provider for your complex production challenges. So our product range starts basically once you get the ingredient, the base ingredient delivered to your factory. So we have big bag unloading stations for material intaking. We have some storing, intermediate storing solutions. And then it's all about the processing of your bulk material. So it's about weighing and feeding solutions, about pneumatic conveying solutions, and always doing that with a value add. So either we are, let's say, more sustainable because we use less power consumption in order to move the material from A to B, or we are able to offer alternative benefits compared to some of our other competitors in the market, which is basically we are able to handle your materials more gently in order to reduce breakage and therefore increase the throughput of your factory. We have filtering solutions. That's also something that is, of course, important when we talk about, for example, the pet food industry. You can think about, I mean, I don't know if you've ever walked into a pet food plant, but there is quite an odor going on in a pet plant. And of course, you want to protect not only the workers in your plant, but also the surrounding communities. And that's when you apply some filtering technologies in order to reduce the odors going on in the pet plant. Excuse me. But also, when we're talking about health and safety, filtering, of course, is very important, specifically for the performance materials sector, because there are some materials which are have the potential to explode. So we're talking about explosion protection here by filtering out those explosive ingredients. And alongside basically providing those types of equipment, what we understand is very important is basically offering really an end-to-end solution and being your partner along the whole lifespan of your product. So we offer control monitoring as well as digital solutions to always give you as well insights on your daily operations. What is actually the health status of your equipment? Is there something going wrong? And we have some very nice use cases there as well, where basically a customer, after we installed a digital sensor on a solution, they started to call us basically 2 weeks after, say, okay, your solution is not working properly because I'm always getting alerts. Well, I mean, we sent someone out there and turned out that actually it was not a false alert, but actually it was a right alert. And we were able to predict an upcoming malfunction of the product before it actually happened, and therefore saved the customer. It was in a different area, but we saved the customer $100,000 per hour because of the avoided downtime. But of course, talking about aftermarket, also digital solutions are very important there. So every time when a service engineer goes out to a customer site, we are sending the customer with remote glasses. So basically on one eye, they have like a mini computer where they see in a mixed reality world guided workflows. And that's specifically interesting, I would say, for you sitting here as well, because some of our service engineers, they are a little bit far away from you. So we don't actually have one service engineer sitting here in Nigeria, but we are able to offer you those digital capabilities, and therefore you are able to leverage your existing service personnel that is maybe not trained on our equipment, but because of the guided workflows is able to perform simple types of commissioning or even service work on our machines as well. And then, should there be an issue that is more complex, we can even, via the remote glasses, connect you to the right service engineer sitting back in another location, and basically have a live Teams call, where we have added capabilities so that basically in this mixed reality world, we are able to provide guidance to the service worker on site by, for example, showing arrows that points to a specific bolt or whatsoever, to really guide him through the process of servicing. And let's say, even though maybe the final servicing work will not be completed by the service worker, at least we are able to therefore already specify what the problem is. And maybe when we send someone out from our own side to repair the specific machine, we already qualified what the issue is, and therefore are able to also bring the right spare parts and do it in the most efficient way for you. And then, in order to save a little bit of time, I will jump over those 2 slides here. And maybe this is my last slide here, which I wanted to touch base on today. So we understand that our solutions are oftentimes operating in mission-critical process steps in your plant. So another analogy here from me, it is not about fixing a simple arm fracture. It's basically fixing a problem at your heart, right? So it's an open heart surgery, what we're doing here. And we understand that it's very critical to get it right, and therefore your trust is key for us. And we want to get your trust even before we get the final recognition of a specific project. And we have basically several different test centers and innovation centers across the globe, where we are able to test your materials up front before you even recognize a specific project to us. So just send us your material. We are very happy to welcome you in our test centers as well, to give you a live demo and a live processing and analytical capability of our test center. But also our test centers are, again, digitally enabled, so even though maybe you are not able to be physically there, you're still able to follow the whole process and see all of the outcomes of that testing. And trust me, going back to the initial point that I make, we are our own consumers again, so we will also tell you if something is not working out, and we will work on the solution together to make it work in the way that you really want it to. So with that having said, over the time, maybe just one last KPI here, we have tested over 20,000 bulk materials. So it goes back to the extensive knowledge of 2,700 years of combined engineering knowledge in our company. So the chances are pretty high that we have already come across one of your ingredients, at least, that you want to be processed in your future operations. So I'm very happy to welcome you as well on our table later today. We're sitting there in the back together with my colleague Alan. And yeah, I will close my speech now with that, and I welcome Alan to the speech to give you more insights on the alternative protein space.
Thank you very much, Andreaz Leitze. Please give him another round of applause. Yes, taking care of Hansella. Sorry, we're talking Baker Perkins. And of course, the big boss is around. But before I give you the microphone to talk, Alan, let me I know you're taller than me, but I know. But anyway, I just want His Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the German Consul General is here amongst us. Herr Weert Börner. I remember this gentleman. The day I went to the embassy to say, I want to go to somewhere called Bayreuth. And everybody was looking at me. What's this guy looking for in Bayreuth? I am a great fan of Wagner. So I had to go to the home of Wagner, and once again, please give him a round of applause. Yes, sir, I did. He gave me visa instantly, without even asking that you are going to our village. I went to the German village of Bayreuth. Yes, Alan, it's your turn. Talk to us.
Thank you very much. Hi, so my name's Alan Mordue, and I'm the International Sales Manager at Baker Perkins. So I have over 30 years worth of international sales experience, and I can honestly say within that time, zero knowledge of packaging equipment, so sorry about that. What I do have is, for the last 8 years, I've been the International Sales Manager at Baker Perkins, responsible for confectionery, cereal, snack, food extrusion, and also biscuit technologies. So today we're going to be talking about alternative proteins and TVP, or textured vegetable protein. But first of all, I thought I'd just give you a brief overview of the Baker Perkins company. As you can see on the slide, we turn over approximately £45 million per annum, and with 88% of this revenue coming from outside of the UK, we are a truly global business. 2 years ago, we were acquired by the Schenck Process Group, and that clearly brings us a lot more depth and scope to our offering worldwide, and of course, the infrastructure that brings also. As Baker Perkins, we're approximately 200 years old, and we've been supplying production equipment to the dry food industry for all that time. We're now focused in sort of 7 key markets, namely cereal, food extrusion, confectionery, biscuit, bread, pet food, and industrial extrusion, or performance materials as we now call it. Where's this pointing to? Oh. So we're not here today to talk about confectionery, but as a business, we've sold over 500 lines worldwide, and this is deposited technology. More recently, we've sold 2 lines into Nigeria, so big round of applause for that, thank you. And we are the world market leaders in deposited confectionery. More recently, we've developed our Servoform Flexi machine, and this is aimed at the gummies and jellies market, but with applications in nutraceutical, which is a massively growing market, growing year on year by about 15%, and the current market is worth in excess of $3 billion US. So a big market. We're involved in biscuit lines, offering everything from biscuit mixing, forming, through to oven technology, supplying soft doughs, hard doughs, cookies, crackers, bar lines, typically outputs from around about 500 kilograms an hour, right up to 4 tons plus per hour, so large volume. We supply equipment into the bread industry with outputs from around about 300 loaves per minute of tinned sliced bread, right up to 13,000 loaves per hour. Sorry, it's not quite working. Food extrusion. We supply cereal production equipment for cereal, snack, ingredients, and also pet foods and treats. And these are premium pet foods and treats that would have a centre field within the pillow. And we also supply equipment for traditional cereals. Here you can see a cereal cooker, and that's supplied to make products like flaked cornflakes, bran flakes, multigrain flakes. And you've probably heard of a company, not so locally, called Nsarkoh. They have a full cereal production line from us, which they purchased around about 3-4 years ago. We also make granola and cereal bars. These are extremely healthy, not the chewy bars that you're more accustomed to, but these are baked oven granola bars, similar to the Nature Valley, very premium and health conscious. We supply extrusion technology into the industrial extrusion market, and here we're creating paint polymers which are used for the white goods industry, but also for toners, adhesives, and any other sort of specialty chemicals within those markets. So this is the topic we're here to discuss today: extruded, textured vegetable protein. And my aim here is just to give you a brief overview of that market. But as Sebastian said, we'll be at the back of the room, and I've got some samples of products, and we can talk in a lot more detail. So with climate change, population and environmental crises, not to mention the reduction in land mass, TVP has become prevalent as a product to utilise as a meat replacement. And at Baker Perkins, we've identified this gap in the market and really satisfied that with a real meat-like textured alternative, but made from alternative products to meat, such as textured vegetable protein. And I'll come on to what that is in a second. So what is TVP? And this is what we're going to be discussing today, sorry. What is TVP? Markets and trends, the current market value, where we see the market going. Can we get the laptop over here? It's not. And then what we can offer from Baker Perkins' perspective and with the wider Schenck group. And of course, where we see the future going with regard to textured vegetable protein. So what is TVP? TVP, textured vegetable protein, also called faux meat or meat analog. Now, even if you forget all these terms, in plain terms and in simple terms, essentially, it's an alternative to meat. Simple as that. In terms of protein types, worldwide, the most prominent protein used is soy or soy isolate, and this is currently used for approximately 65% of the market share. However, other protein types, such as fava beans, lentils, to name a couple, are also used. Soy protein isolate is extremely high in protein and has over 80% content of protein. So it's a very concentrated system. That's going on its own. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Can I get the laptop up here, or can we move the laptop up here? Okay, sorry about that. So we've developed a recipe, a base recipe at Baker Perkins, which is predominantly developed around soy protein. And you can see this is a high moisture content by adding in 160% of water with a final product in excess of 60% water. And this high moisture meat analog has a very meat-like texture and profile, and is a real alternative to meat in terms of appearance, texture, and taste. So looking at the process, this is a bit wordy, but I will read it out. A process where the defatted thermoplastic proteins are heated to 150 to 200 degrees centigrade, which denatures them into a fibrous, insoluble, porous network that can soak up as much as 3 times its weight in liquids. And what we're doing at Baker Perkins is we're using our extruder to gently mix these proteins and then cool them in a very thin cooling die, and I'll show you some images later. And what this does is it realigns all the strands of the proteins into a meat-like texture. So let's have a brief look at the market globally in terms of textured vegetable protein. Here you can see worldwide, by 2025, the market is expected to achieve $10.4 billion in turnover, so not an insignificant number. You can see currently the US has $3.2 billion, and the UK and China roughly about half of that. You'll probably notice that in Africa, there's no current turnover. But this reminds me of a marking analogy, and it's a decade-old analogy, but two marketeers visited Africa. I don't know the exact decade, but many years ago. And one came back, and they were from a shoe manufacturing company. One came back and said, "There's no market for any shoes there. Nobody wears shoes. They walk around the streets in bare feet." Whilst the other marketeer came back and said, "There's a massive potential for business in Africa because clearly nobody's wearing shoes." So I see Africa and Nigeria specifically as a market to penetrate and that we want to be involved in. Sorry? So just looking at the European market, you can see year on year this market's growing by 18%, so it's quite a significant growth. And just looking at the market share by protein source, you can see that soy is about 65% of the makeup, whilst pea, wheat and others form the rest of that. What is important, though, is from a West perspective, soy is considered to be a non-sustainable product. The chemical process to extract soy is not very good in terms of the chemicals used. Additionally, deforestation and sustainability of the soy farming process, not to mention that soy isn't allergenic, so not very healthy to many people. And so alternatives are being looked at. And at Baker Perkins, we're exploiting that and looking at various different alternatives. You'll also note that wheat is used. So we have gluten in that product. What we're doing at Baker Perkins is trying to eliminate gluten from the recipe, and we're doing this with the use of hydrocolloids, such as pectin, xanthan gum, or gelatin for dietary requirements. So here's quite an interesting slide, and certainly not for the faint-hearted, but if you read this statement, we're in the middle of a biodiversity of mass extinction. We're in the middle of a climate crisis, and yet somehow we need to feed the population. By Sarah Benyon at Edinburgh University. Looking at a yield of protein per area, insect farming uses around 1/8 of the land compared to beef production. Now, the thought of eating insects might not be for everyone, but actually as a product, you know, the thought of eating crickets in your burger or sausage, for example, or mealworms in your fried rice might be hard to stomach right now. But as researchers have said, as a product, it certainly should be something we should be considering, and probably an absolute must in the future. Personally, I don't think it's going to be easy to adopt. If you're putting complete whole crickets in your salad, for example, but as a crushed ingredient as part of the whole product, it might be easier to swallow. So there's a growing trend in what's termed flexitarians. Now, flexitarians are people that choose to eat less meat, but not for religious reasons, but more for health benefits, to reduce their meat consumption. And so there's a range of products already in the market aimed at flexitarians. And what this is, or what this has, is a reduction in meat content. So the protein is coming not only just from your typical meats, but they're also introducing things like butternut squash and kale. The biggest problem with this product range, though, is that it causes confusion. It's not any good for vegetarians. So whether it becomes a product that's going to continue on the market shelves, we'll just have to wait and see. Let's go back. So what can we offer for this growing and burgeoning market from Baker Perkins and the wider Schenck Process Group? As Sebastian already said, we are end-to-end solution providers. So we can take those raw ingredients with bulk handling, we can mill them, offer general handling of those ingredients to create base ingredients. We then take those base ingredients and through a series of mixing, blending, feeding and grinding, we can then take that into our extruder to produce TVP. So here's some examples of finished end products that we can produce with this process. You have sausages, burgers, chicken strips, and minced products. So fundamentally, there's three distinct types of TVP. The first is HMMA, high moisture meat analog, or high moisture fibrated. And you can see here it has a very meat-like texture. The second one is a dry TVP, or low moisture meat analog. And there's two different types of this. The first is a spongy type. And you can see the image here. and the second is a fibrated type. And the fibrated type, you could place that directly into a ready meal as a meat substitute or extender. Whereas the spongy type, you would typically use as an extender in a meat-based product like a burger or sausage. All these differences come from the dye technology, and the dye is critical to this process. I can't emphasize that enough. If we look at the schematic of the process, we're adding in the dry ingredients at the front of the extruder. These would be added from a loss in weight feeder by Schenck process. We can then add in all our liquid ingredients, colors and flavors at the front of the barrel. We're then in the 6 zones. So this is an extended extruder. We're doing very gentle mixing of the proteins. We don't want to cook them too much. We just want to gently mix them and blend them. And then coming out of the end of the extruder, we have a cooling die with 4 different sections. You can see here Z1 to Z4. And what we're doing here is gradually bringing down the temperature of the proteins, and this realigns the structure in order to create the meat-like texture. When we exit the extruder at sort of Z4, we want to be below boiling point. And this is really important because we don't want to introduce any expansion of the product. We want to keep it unexpanded so we can create the meat-like structure. Any of you that are in the cereal or snack production business, you'd know we want to go above the boiling point because we want puffed products like a Cheerio or Wheat Loop, something like that. But this is completely the opposite. So that the heart or the engine of the process is the extruder. And Baker Perkins developed a solid barrel extruder predominantly for the cereal and snack market. But what we've done is we've further developed that specifically for the TVP market. We have a bigger motor on the back of the machine, and what this enables us to do is to run at much higher screw speeds, so we get more throughput, and it gives us some process advantages. We have the option for high-capacity heaters, although this wouldn't be typically used in TVP production. And as I mentioned, we have a longer barrel, and this enables us to gently realign the protein strands to form the meat-like structure. And we can add steam, and this steam allows us to another process advantage where we can modify the texture of the meat analog. And we have a new face cutter, and we'll come on to that a bit later. This hand wheel on the end of the cutter cage, this enables the operator to modify the process during production if required, rather than having to stop production and restart. So it's a very efficient process. TVP is considered a high-risk product, similar to meat. So it would typically be located in a different production hall. Microbial bacteria is possible, so all the machinery needs to be stainless steel, fully wash downable, pressurized, and all those attributes go hand in hand with Baker Perkins technology. Stainless steel frame, anything that's in contact with the product has a course has to be made out of stainless steel. So here you can see the high moisture meat analog extrusion cooling die. It's made of 4 sections, and you can see we have the distinct 4 sections, and this enables us to reduce the temperature in each section, and this creates the texture of the meat analog. And I've got a video that I can show you later, well, in a few slides' time, and it shows you this meat-like texture. We have temperature probes, so we can finally adjust the process. Let's go back one. What I should have mentioned, inside the die is extremely smooth, and this enables us to pass the product through with a very low friction to create a meat-like structure. For dry TVP, or low moisture meat analog, we're using a die which is akin to the cereal production market, so it's very familiar technology to us. You would use such a die to make Rice Krispies, for example. By then adding an extension or relaxation chamber, we can allow the product to slightly expand, and this will create the spongy, dry, fibrated TVP. And with all Baker Perkins products, everything is fully automated, wash downable. We've added a hinged access to the cutter cage. I can show you this on an animation on the next slide. Okay, I'll come back to that. So, here you go. You click on there. No, back. Back. You need to click in the window. It's on the next slide. Don't worry, I'll just keep going. So here you can see the fibrated extrusion die extension, and this allows the product to slightly expand, creating a meat-like texture, as you can see in the bottom right photo. And this, as I said before, this can be added directly to a ready meal arrangement to offer protein for the consumer. Now, click in this slide, please. So here's an animation of the solid barrel extruder and the cutter. On the front, you can see a hand wheel, and this allows the operator to micro-adjust the blades. The cutter cage comes completely out of the way, so you can get direct access to the die plate. This is very good for cleaning and maintenance. The whole cutter cage rotates or hinges out of the way, so you can make other products such as co-extrusion for filled pillows, chocolate pillows, things like that. Here you can see the cutter rotating, and depending on the product or process, this cutter is available in 2, 4, or 8 blade configurations. So here's just a brief schematic based on an 80mm extruder, and you can see here typically we're 17 or 17.18 meters long. We need 7 meters of height, and the line is approximately 4 to 5 meters wide. And from Baker Perkins and the Schenck process group, we can offer an end-to-end solution for that. In terms of outputs for high moisture meat analog or the wet TVP, you can see we can achieve with our smallest extruder 5.4 kilograms, and that goes right up to sort of 390 kilograms. For the drier TVP, the outputs are much higher, from 20 to 12 to 1300 kilograms per hour, so quite a high output. So Sebastian mentioned the innovation centres we have around the globe. I'm going to talk about the one in Peterborough in the UK, and this is fundamental to any supply of equipment or process. What we do is we invite clients, and it's paramount that they come with their own ingredients or ingredients they can source in their market, because for proteins, more than any other product, the type of protein, the location geographically, the season can all have a massive impact on the overall texture. So by By running those products or ingredients in a controlled environment, we can stabilize some of the process variables and work with the client directly to produce the texture that they want to achieve for the consumer. If you click on this, it will run. Again. So here you can see our innovation centre in Peterborough. There were the 3 liquid tanks, a feeder, and here's the high moisture meat analogue coming out of the end of the cooling die. You can see it has a very meat-like structure. I think a lot of people would struggle to find a difference in their meat. And then by changing the colours and flavours, you can alter the meat type. By mincing the product, we can use it as an extender in a product like a burger or patty. It's quite important for end clients to come and visit our facility in Peterborough because they can actually make the end product that they want to sell to the consumer. And of course, this is fundamentally the important part from a customer's perspective. How we do it on the equipment. You know, we offer great equipment. It's shiny, all the usual things, but it's really about the end product for the customer. So it shows you some of the sort of marketing images that we can create. All the mincing, mixing, sifting equipment is as you would use in the meat industry. Obviously, this is mixed to make a sausage-like product. So what does the future hold for TVP? I'm going to show you some statements which are quite bold. Oh, or not. 24th of March 2021. Consumption of animal-based produce in the US and Europe could be on its way down after hitting a peak meat apex in 2025. By 2035, new research suggests that every 10th portion of meat, eggs or dairy consumed will be from an alternative protein source. And a report from the Boston Consulting Group indicates that the meat-free sector is expected to hit US dollars 290 billion by 2035. So a massive, growing, burgeoning market. And it could potentially capture 11 to 16% of the global protein market, with 9 out of 10 of the world's favourite dishes, including pepperoni and sushi, all having realistic alternatives by 2035. So this process, which started as a meat-free alternative, is now proving to become a process to ensure a sufficiently enriched protein diet, where a variety of protein sources can be used, not depending on local availability and not specifically marketed for vegetarians. We're really excited to be involved with this sector at Baker Perkins, and we look forward to helping you as clients with solutions to satisfy your markets. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. I told you it can't get worse. There will be no malu. We don't have to wait for soya. We'll produce soya and all kind of meaty type veggie. No, I don't mean we are going to go veggie, but don't worry, there's so much money to be made. And what do we do in Nigeria? Everybody thinks about how much else am I going to make? So this is an opportunity for you. You saw it. Is it each time I looked at that, I am always looking at the back of my head. So let me face people so that I can talk to people, not the back of my head. There's so much to be made out of this. And we want to say a big thank you to people from Baker, Perkins, Schenck, and their corner is just right behind there. Yes, we know that you have questions to ask, but in a moment, because we're going to take another very exciting guest speaker, just like the very first one we had this morning. And this next speaker is one that you cannot but expect to tell us. In fact, draw the attention of what some of us are thinking out there. So what's going to happen to all the cows and all the beef and the suya? For instance, I live in Suya Junction. Question. The questions will wait, sir, because we're going to all sit together. I'm going to go and sit by Baker Perkins because they have to explain why cow must go into extinction. Why we should not have our Malu husbandry. Why I must wait for vegetable to turn into meat. But I know with 200 millions to feed, I'm coming for that machine. And I'm sure you do too. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're coming next to our very special another guest speaker. Dr. Adeniro Alamo, PhD. Dr. Alamo is a renowned food processing expert, and he's been 25 years in the... Sir, they'll be looking at your back. Just like I don't like me to see my head. Thank you, sir. Right. He's been 25 years first-hand experience in manufacturing industry. The former managing director at Corinthian Spices Limited, an MD of that very important agro-processing company, former manufacturing manager at Nestle Nigeria Limited. During his career in Nestle, he was equipped with the vast experiences of Nestle global manufacturing standards and excellence across Nestle worldwide. He was the brain behind the innovation that led to the right recipe for an infant cereal brand, New Trend. Currently, HOD, Food Science and Technology, Bells University. Say no more. Aside of his role as HOD, Food Science and Technology at Bells, he also oversees the Bells Food Processing Plant, which is a business arm of Bells University that also serves as an R&D unit for evolving processing and packaging technologies that meets global standards. Today, most of Dr. Alamo's proteges and mentees he had trained and mentored are currently decision-making giants in the food and agro-allied manufacturing industries. You see, he is one of them. There is another. Oh, somebody else is putting, you see? These are his people. Please give him a round of applause. I told you we have very exciting people to talk to us at this session. Well, Dr. Alamo is here. What else can I say? He's got so many long capabilities to talk about. Do you know what capability is? You don't know what capability is? Okay, let me just quickly chip in this before I give the microphone to Dr. Alamo. My mother-in-law is a doctor. I didn't want to say, my great-grandmother was not very educated, but she was a great member of the NCNC. Everybody else in the home, her husband, were members of Action Group. So any day NCNC is coming to campaign in Lagos, she was usually leaving the home at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to go and prepare the grounds. One day her husband asked her, look, you don't join us here. What's your problem? She says, She likes to go to listen to those people that speak big grammar. NCNC, they'll speak cockability. And she wants her children and grandchildren to be able to speak cockability. So that's the meaning of plenty of cockabilities. So over to Dr. Ilam to embellish us, not just with cockabilities. At least me, I'm product of what cockability came out of from my great-grandmother. I wish you all a happy listening. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the initiative put together by All Manufacturing Solutions to organize this type of symposium. If this is your first, I want to commend you to sustain it. Because any typical organization providing goods and services to customers, the moment you are able to meet the expectations of your customers, you are not doing them any good favor because they paid for it. A market leader, a brand leader, must be an organization, an individual that exceeds customers' expectations. And I must say what you are doing today is an indication that you are indeed ready for the next generation because you are already in the attempt and the process of exceeding customers' expectations. Let's give them a round of applause for this. I have very limited time to speak, but I must also talk about my university, which is Bells University of Technology, the first private university in Nigeria. And in that university, we are renowned for something unique, and that is to bring in clusters of individuals with proven integrity and experience that can enable us to tailor our food processing and our food science and technology practitioners into impacting the upcoming generations for the purpose of changing the narratives. And I'm so happy that I'm able to see one of my former colleagues today in Nestle, whom I'm already arresting back into the cluster. What we are known for is to create something different, something unique. And not just in food science, we also have in the Faculty of Engineering, where we are the pioneer university with the department known as Department of Mechatronic Engineering. And so what do we do, especially in my unit where I belong to, Kate? For instance, where I'm currently saddled with the responsibility of transforming onion into cubes, so that instead of our onion, at the end of every harvest year, suffering a lot of post-harvest losses, what we are trying to do at Bells University of Technology is to convert these onions into cubes so that you can use these cubes in your cooking without the luxury of having to go and buy so many bulbs of onion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my discussion. The topic of my discussion today is global changes in processing and packaging technology, the challenges and the opportunities. I'm so excited about the caliber of people in this hall today, especially from the packaging industry. Because as food processors, no matter how good our food are, the moment it is not properly packaged, the goodness behind your goodness is lost. Are you in the pharmaceutical industry? Yes, a number of formulations that are not properly packaged will end up being in waste because packaging plays critical roles in promoting the quality and the safety of our products. It is not in doubt that the global market today is characterized by stiff competition. The competition is so stiff that it's only the big boys, in quotes, that will survive it. And survival requires us putting in place practicable, sustainable processing and packaging technologies. Sustainable in the sense that when you are trying to grow your business in a very, very unfriendly environment, you must have in mind the economic dimension, the social inclusion, and the environmental friendliness. You need to put in place technologies that is of 21st century. You need to put in place technologies that will reduce waste, because you are not just in business as a service-oriented organization, but you are in that business to make money, to make profit. And so therefore, for you to remain viable in the global trend, you need technology that is proven, which I will call 21st century technology. Use of 21st century technology will afford companies, the food industries, the packaging industries, and the pharmaceutical industries greater opportunities to streamline processing, packaging, and manufacturing procedures to their advantage. Now, I want to talk about this emerging trend from the context of Nigeria, because charity begins at home. Nigeria is endowed in terms of the pharmaceutical industry, the numbers of pharmaceutical industry in this country. We are a leading market in West Africa. The food industry, in terms of revenues that comes in, is also a mega industry. At least, if we are not the leader in Africa, I don't know which other country will be the leader in Africa. The Nigerian economy, the Nigerian environment is so much versatile that we are blessed with unsurpassed natural advantages, very climatic conditions that allow diversity in the nature of the crops that comes into our basket. Because we are favored all year round. We find crops that you can harvest from the north to the south. And Nigeria is also endowed with greater reservoir of skilled, unskilled technical, scientific, and managerial manpower. Our contributions to agriculture, contributions to our GDP from agri is about 25%. So which means Nigeria is an agrarian economy. In fact, by all standards, Nigeria today remains the world's largest producer of cassava, producing over 47 million metric tons. As an agrarian economy, we have no business importing cassava. We must key into the next generation, whereby we need to produce what we will use to our benefit. And also, food market currently, in the first quarter of 2023, stands at $23.5 billion, and with an annual increment of 12.75%. Despite the terrorism, despite the banditry, we still remain a focus of concern in the African continent. Nigeria is the largest food market in the entire African continent, and it's not negotiable. Now, packaging industry from the Nigerian factor, the market is promising and rapidly growing. That's for the pharmaceutical industry in West Africa. More than 150 active pharmaceutical industries producing in this country, and the estimated market size of the pharmaceutical industry is about $1.8 billion, with capacity to increase to $3.2 billion by the year 2026. What does it mean? Only 30% of these drugs are considered authentic. Next, the industry is, please go back, I want to emphasize something. The industry is also polarized by lack of enough, which means 75% of the drugs that we consume in these countries are imported, which means Nigerian market is very viable. We need to close the gap, and by implication, Nigerian market is a large and growing market with the significant potential for growth. What does that translate to? The middle income, Nigeria is endowed with middle income class in terms of nominal GDP and purchasing power parity, the largest economy in Africa, and one of the largest in the world. We are talking about global trends in food processing. Nigeria, as a component of Africa, has tremendous opportunity to key into the next generation. However, despite all, we also want to consider the type of consumers that we'll be talking about, because if we are trying to talk about the global trends, we need to look at it contextually also from the perspective of who our consumers are. A typical consumer in Nigeria today, even in this part of the world, any part of the world, are now empowered. They are more knowledgeable. Gone are those days when, by virtue of your brand leadership, you can produce anything, throw it into the market, and Nigerians will buy it. Nigerians are now more enlightened, more empowered, and for us to key into the global trend, we need to look at our product from the context of what the consumers want, not what we want to give to the consumers. Because to remain relevant, we need to understand that the consumer is king. The next slide, please. Consumers' expectations and behavior is changing, and demand for convenience in packaging is on the rise. I'm so much impressed about the caliber of the packaging industries here today. They are so much, they've done so much, and there is a revolution or an evolution in the packaging industry to the extent that the next generation of packaging, which I will be talking about later in this slide, should reflect how we should make this packaging eco-friendly. By implication, there is increased number in working class, especially women. Spending power is increasing. People are now clamoring for convenient food. It is not out of place for consumers' expectation to be exceeded. Yes, that's the only way we can key into the next generation. That's the only way we can remain market leader. That's the only way we can move with the evolving trends as far as the global trend is concerned. Today's consumers are empowered. Next slide, please. Why consumers' engagement? Just like I said, they have access to information. Gone are those days where you can make younger, let me use Nigerian language, to convince them. They will inquire. The digital platform is there. They will inquire through contact with their friends. They will inquire through experts. So the onus is on us as practitioners, the pharmaceutical industry, the food industry, to be consumer-centric. Yes, the world is evolving. However, with the evolution in the world, the consumer is king. And therefore, we must produce consumer-centric products. The next slide, please. Next one. Now, major trends that is affecting food processing, I will come to pharmaceutical also. The first one is we need to come to the reality of our producing in an eco-friendly environment. The ecosystem is becoming endangered, and it is imperative that we are currently enjoying this generation. We must also keep the generation safe for the upcoming children. What will be the role, the fate of my children and your children if we endanger it? So every of our technology now should be eco-friendly, because that's the only way we can sustain the ecosystem in such a way that there will be continuity. Then, use of modern technologies and automation. A number of food industries are here. For us to be globally relevant, we need to use more of automation. And I'm so much excited about the level of automation in the packaging industries that have showcased their product today. Things are changing, and times are also not going to wait for anybody. When I was in Nestle, the degree of complexity was not like what we see today. So I must commend the packaging industries for their innovative creativeness in bringing up technologies that is 21st century compliant. There must be need for brand transparency and sustainability. Either you are in the pharmaceutical industry or you are in the food industry, yes, the consumers are interested in your product, but they want to know what you put into the product also. For you to be globally relevant, there is the need for us to be transparent in what we do, how we do it, because for us to become, because before we can become relevant in the next level, we need to have technologies that will create waste reduction. And there is increase in demand for plant-based food. Yes, my friend who came to showcase TVP, texturized vegetable protein, has actually spoken my mind, because even in bells, we are looking at that dimension also, in addition to the onion we are trying, because emphasis is to de-emphasize consumption of meat or animal-based protein. So the ultimate is to now increase our emphasis and concentration on plant-based food. There is greater investment in manufacturing softwares. AI has overtaken it, and we must key into that for us to become next generation or next century compliant. Then increase regulation. This is where the regulators will have to come to play. Because when technology increases, there is definitely going to be increased productivity and profitability. There will be a lot of sharp practices, and this is where the regulators are supposed to be active. Now, as food processing, the emerging trend, the global trend, is to, there are a number of technologies that I already have in mind, but I only narrow it down to 3, which cut across food and pharmacy. The first one is, yes, times are changing. There is a need for us to de-emphasize high-temperature food processing. I am a food scientist by training, and over the years, the evolving trend is to emphasize high-temperature cooking, high-temperature cooking. This has, to some extent, created some level of contamination as a result of the reaction between the food nutrients. A popular one is acrylamide in French fries. Who will ever think that acrylamide will be found in food? This is a polymeric material. So emphasis now is to go non-thermal. What do I mean by non-thermal? We want to de-emphasize high-temperature cooking because as a result of the exposure of this food to high temperature, the components of the food, which we consider to be nutrient also, they react together, creating beneficial products, controversial products, and detrimental products. So the next generation, the evolving trend should be, how do we de-emphasize high temperature cooking? Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, another emphasis in food processing that I want to emphasize, which includes also the pharmaceutical, is robotics in processing, food processing, in pharmaceutical processing. Not as popular as the automotive industry. Of course, you will say, if we go robotic in food processing, a lot of people will lose their job. No. We will always create job in another channel because there will be increase in productivity. By extension, profit will go up. You'll be able to grow, and consequently, your staff may not lose their job. There is that difficulty in food because of the diverse nature of food system and their perishable nature. So it's a fragile nature and the perishable nature of food that may not make it work in food processing, but I've seen it in packaging. Fantastic equipment and automation there. So we need to go robotic. And then the hygienic and sterilization requirement is already amplified here because one of the problems we have in food manufacturing is to what extent can we clean? Consequently, robotic in processing will enable us to amplify, minimize the risk inherent with contamination, and it has a high production volume. Now, one of the examples of new generation technology that I want to advocate, which I know is already being on in pharmacy, is nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is the in thing now. In medicine, it's popular. In pharmaceuticals, it's also popular. And in food, also is popular. Consequently, our frame of mind now should be tailored towards how we can practice more of nanotechnology in food processing and pharmaceutical industry. What do I mean by nanotechnology? Nanotechnology is all about the modern trend in manipulating matters to an infinitesimally small particle size for the purpose of increasing the surface area, which will enable the pharmaceutical industries also to ensure greater drug delivery. It's become very, very important for us also as food practitioners to begin to see more of the area where we can engage nanotechnology in food processing. This is not an academic lab, but that is a concept that belongs to the next generation and which we must begin to key into it now. Next slide, please. Nanotechnology in pharmaceuticals. Nanoparticles as drug delivery system impart several advantages. I'll mention only two. It improves efficiency. The issue of you are taking overdose, no, will not arise because it comes with precision and you'll be able to take enough to cure your illness. And it's also an avenue to reduce adverse drug reaction because these particles are so much small that the rapidity of delivery is enhanced. The next slide, please. The packaging industry, let's go to this next one, the next slide. Now, in Nigeria, because I've seen a number of products, the packaging equipment manufacturers are doing wonderfully well. But I want to talk from the Nigerian context. Times are changing, and a number of people have no time to cook at home again. Consequently, there is a need for ready-to-eat packaging materials and ready-to-cook packaging materials. To cut it short, meal on the run. Not many of us have the luxury of putting our wives or our daughters as housewives anymore. You want to engage them professionally so that they can become, they can contribute income to the family. Consequently, there is a need for ready-to-eat packagings. And I want the packaging specialists in this room to take a cue from where they can partner with Nigerian industries on ready-to-cook packagings and ready-to-eat packaging. However, where I'm actually going is the next one. The next slide. The evolving trend in packaging now is to come up with innovative packaging, which is the digital tool. But I'm able to see a number of innovations, especially in the presentation of the representative of Senegal. Packaging has gone beyond being passive. It is no longer conventional to protect, to protect the food, to be a tool through which you can market your product. Marketing has to go innovative, and there are three categories. We have the intelligent packaging, which has quality indicators, data devices, others. We need active packaging, which can scavenge and emit products embedded in it that can enable you to control the storability of your product. And we need what we call smart packaging. I'm privileged to see a number of organizations also who are already taking advantage of smart packagings, like Nestle. I know Nestle has self-eating cans now for their coffee, and Coca-Cola also have these self-cooling cans for their Coca-Cola. This is the next level, where we must all key into. And I want to challenge the packaging gurus in the room to begin to see where we can do this. Also, pharmaceutically, there's what we call smart drug delivery, SDD. It's another next level that the pharmaceutical industry must take advantage of. Yes, the drugs are helpful, are efficient, but you see, there is a need for us to key into the next level because we are talking about the global trend. The global trend is not longer to take 2 tablets in the morning, 2 tablets in the afternoon, 2 tablets in the evening. You take it for 7 days and then you are healed. There is a need for us to start talking about smart drug delivery, which will be effective, which will be targeted towards specific illness, towards granting you accelerated healing. Next slide, please. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, the next paragraph in packaging is good to have good, fantastic packages. But you see, most of these packages, especially we in the food industry, eventually becomes a liability. Oh, let me quickly go to the challenges. That's the next paragraph. Let me go to the challenge because that's where I'm going. Go to the challenges. Let's see challenges. Challenges. That's it. Nigerian population of 220 million is expected to reach 262 million by 2030 and become the planet's 5th largest population of 400 million people. We must think smart. We must think fast. We must engage technologies that will move us to that level. Practitioners need to be proactive in taking advantage of the global trend. Need to process requiring less energy because we want to be eco-friendly. The next one, communication among academics, industry, and others. This is where I'm coming from. I am in the academics. A number of us need to begin to look at intentional research that is directional. A number of our publications, a number of our researches are gathering dust on the shelf. We need to collaborate with the industries, pharmaceutical industries, and the food processing industry for the purpose of coming up with practical solutions that will enable us to key into the next generation. And then a single independent objective resources to objectively evaluate, develop technologies. Improvement in conventional processing and packaging technologies that must be eco-friendly. That's my emphasis. The next one, let's go to the opportunities. Because of my time, I've been given the signal. Opportunities. Application, wow. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to deny the others. My slides will be available to AMAs for distribution to those. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure once again.
Thank you indeed. I told you he's got it all, and these are very exciting times, and there is nothing we can do about this because we can't just be speaking English and not improve our own 220 million. There's so much money to be made. And you are not in business not to make profit, are you? Are you in business not to make profit? Yes. Or did you say yes? Are you in business not to make profit? These people are very academic. I love you. Please continue to produce for us and let those of us who are interested make money. Thank you very much. Because you are very, very smart people, you are the leaders in the production industry, please continue to produce this thing and we will come and buy the machine and we will make all the money. I bless you, Lord. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may I request let me ask your indulgence because I have to call on His Excellency, whose time is very, very tight and has to leave us very shortly. But his goodwill message is important to all of us, particularly for this symposium workshop. So may I request your indulgence to please allow us to call on Herr Weert Börner, the German Consul General Lagos, to please address us very quickly. Herr Börner.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you. Sorry for kind of interrupting the usual flow, but I'm indeed a bit squeezed in. We had a morning meeting, actually, hopefully also in your interest, with LCCI. We meaning not just the German consulate, but EU, European Union consulates in Lagos, to talk about the new opportunities with the new government for all of us, businesses in Europe and in Nigeria. But to start now, so to say formally, dear host, AMSAfrica Limited, dear Mrs. Shakirat Oyedepo, I'm really impressed of what you have installed here, so to say, for today. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for drawing me in. I myself, actually, my surname, that's very easy. It's like Börner boy, but just without the boy. So I arrived 10 months ago in Lagos. Before I spent 6 years in East Asia, first in South Korea and then in Vietnam, heading the respective economic divisions of the German embassies there. So I can assure you there are many, especially SMEs from Germany that offer a lot of good machinery all around the world and a lot of good digitalized processes, etc. So you're really not wrong when you are interested in connecting to Germany for these purposes, or also to other European countries and their good companies. Now, let me make a few remarks. In general, I'm very grateful actually to Dr. Alamu that you drew from the very specialized machinery that I'm not an expert in to the global trends I also observe and know a bit better than the concrete machinery or concrete offers by certain companies. But let me say in general, I mean, after, especially for you as Nigerians, after a rather difficult time, I guess. I mean, I have been here for 10 months in the country and observed so many crises within 10 months that it's really not easy to explain to German politicians or German senior civil servants what's going on. You know, first the floodings, then the cash crisis, and in between several fuel crises. And you know, and when I said to Dr. Chinyere Almona, the Director General of LCCI, I admire the Nigerians for their flexibility and their resilience, she said, it's not resilience, we are traumatized. Yeah, so in that sense, I still admire you. And of course, we hope for better times. I mean, in general, it's difficult times not just for Nigeria, for all of the world. And you may know that also the leading European economies, be it the German, the French, the British, or the Italian, or others, are in difficult times. So in that sense, we are in one big boat together. But how do we come out? And I think there, it's really that we all have to kind of modernize in a sustainable way. Well, sustainable is a word that is maybe already overused, But when you look at the concrete terms for what does it mean for processing and packaging industries, then you come to really a lot of homework for all of us. And so let me just point at a few aspects. For the German government, but also I am sure for German private business, there is a big interest not just to kind of save our own industries, but also to support as much as we can a growing manufacturing industry in Nigeria. Because as you all know, it's not sustainable in the long run just to harvest raw materials and ship them somewhere. It's important for Nigeria to have your own manufacturing industry. And for that, you need the international support and for example, the machinery coming from Europe or the know-how, etc. And one important thing is to build up this manufacturing industry, be it in the food sector, in the pharma sector, or other sectors. Now, the other, I think, important point for all of you, it doesn't matter what you produce, is that you improve, or all of us improve our energy systems, decarbonizing them, but also building them up where there is no electricity yet. And there are many solutions also already tested somewhere in the world. You may know that the renewable energy sector is one of the big growing sectors. And I can assure you, just to give you the German example, even in the highest time of our coal-based plus nuclear energy-based energy production, there were much less people working in the energy sector than today, with already about 50% of renewables in our system. So this is not a job killer, it's a job promoter to build up renewables also in Nigeria. And it's important, I realize there is a lot of off-grid talking also in Nigeria already, and not just talking, but finding solutions. And that is also something you should really have a closer look at in your own production processes, to not just rely on one big utility somewhere, which may not be working when you need it, but to really find decentralized solutions for your own electricity coverage for your production processes. Another point is also the financial framework. You as, and I guess also most of you are with rather smaller, SME companies, that you have a financial framework you can rely on. If you are interested in combining your own strengths with some from Germany, then I can only recommend, if you are not aware yet, to approach, that's just a concrete hint, to approach the so-called German desk that is connected to Axis Bank here in Lagos. Because it's a professional German banker supported by the German government, who is offering a lot of financial solutions also when you want to invest, for example, in new machinery, in new processing lines, in digitalization or whatever you are planning. And another point I'd like to make is that all of us need skilled staff, need skilled workers, and you may know already that one of the large parts of both European Union and German support is concentrating on vocational training in Nigeria. For example, only a week ago, there was a big batch of 300 young Nigerians funded by partly German government money, partly German private money from the Siemens Foundation to have a 12-month course in certain digital and other operational skills for the private business sector. And they got their certificates only a week ago, and the very good result, the implementation was German-Nigerian, so a Nigerian NGO was fully involved in the implementation, and the good result was 300 300 certificates no dropout in the 12 months with 300 young Nigerians. Now, if you have a closer look at the processing and packaging industry, as far as I know it from also my recent experience, whether in Asia or Africa, I think Dr. Amona mentioned this already. There is this digitalization issue. You know, you have to have 21st century technology to be at the forefront and to be successful. Then you really have to have an eye at energy efficiency and also resource efficiency. And there, again, there are many good offers from Europe and from Germany specifically, how you need less input to have the same or even more production at the end outcome. And then there is the important issue of new materials, especially for the packaging industry, that you use bio-based instead of oil-based products, which is of course good for the environment, but it's definitely also good for your business. And this could be, for example, that you package with renewable primary products such as wheat straw, bamboo, or polylactic acids. Some of you may know more about this than I do, but that's definitely one of the global trends that is so important to consider to be successful. And then also there is the whole issue of recycling and finally the circular economy. I think where especially your sectors are also part of it and have to find solutions for this to be successful. Just to give you one hint that German companies are active on Nigerian territory in this. Maybe you have read it somewhere or heard about it, but it's not that commonly known yet. BASF, you know, the largest German chemical company, private company, they opened a laboratory in Ikeja, in Lagos, 2 years ago in 2021, with a focus on finding new materials from waste and you know, chemical recycling to then enter the kind of new lifeline again, to really become a circular economy. Whether it's, you know, malaria nets that have been distributed but then are thrown away, and you can still make a lot of different products out of them when you recollect them after use. And all of these ideas that partly are there, but not yet maybe on the market. So that was a very clear decision, and I think a good sign to base this laboratory directly connected also with scientific staff and headquarters in Germany in Lagos, Nigeria, for the African market. Now, just my last point, because we all realize now there is more momentum, not just because of Tinubu making it faster, or however you call it, but because we somehow survived COVID. And now, for example, trade fairs that are also important for your business sectors are coming up again around the world with in person and with larger audience again and better exchange than even before COVID. So just also as a practical hint, I would like to mention a few of them where Germany is involved. There are actually 2 trade fairs, some of you may know them, that were founded a couple of years ago as a kind of German-Nigerian joint venture. One is WACI, the West African Fair on Clean Energy and Environment. It's mainly about environmental technology and renewables, but it's also important for the food sector, for example, and the packaging sector. And it's changing between Accra and Lagos. So this year in October it will be in Accra and then again 2024 in Lagos. And the other one is the Agri-Food Nigeria, some of you may know, that is co-organized also by a German company. And the next one I can already announce will be from 26th to 28th March 2024. So I can only recommend to join this fair in Lagos in the Landmark Center. And if you like to travel, now that's my last point, which I wouldn't recommend in winter, but you, you should try in the summer half. Then what I can really recommend to all of you is to try the Anuga. It's the largest agriculture or food sector fair around the world in Cologne. And it's only every second year, but you could visit it this fall from the 7th to 11th of October 2023. And the other one is the famous Hannover Trade Fair, you know, the biggest industry fair, which is again then end of April 2024. So if you like to join these fairs also in Germany, please do. And if you have problems with the visa, I've never heard about visa problems, then please give me a hint or give the consulate a hint. We'll try our best. And I wish you really the best success for modernizing your business and being successful in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Thank you indeed. Well, it's like time is stood still. But I know that you know, and that you know too, that we must go on. Well, just after the next one, we're going to take our short break. And before that break, let me just quickly call on yet another, particularly some of those government-involved financing. And that is talking about maximizing the Bank of Industry's industrial investment opportunities that is available to each and every one of us. Respectfully, may I recognize Mr. Obaro Osah, DG Head SME Directorate, to please come and talk to us. Clap for him. This is where we make money from. Oh. Thank you very much. NAFDAC. My apologies, Mom. I'll be with you in a very short moment. Your time is only 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Mom. NAFDAC, I'm sorry. Please just give me some minutes. I'm very sorry. Apologies. Apologies, Mom. Thank you. I can go on? Thank you. I want to stand on the existing protocol. My name is Obaro Osah. I work for Bank of Industry. Let me say thank you to the organizer of this event. I've learned so much for the last 3 hours. I'm quite excited, and I see a connection between what we do and what the organizers are doing and what our numerous customers, their customers now, hopefully tomorrow, they will also be my customer, so that we can work together to build our country. I don't know if you have my papers. Do you have the slides? Please try and get it up. But in the interim, let me just continue because I have the printed paper here. So I'm going to speak on global market trends and regulations in processing and packaging technologies. And of course, the funding opportunities available in the Bank of Industry. Next slide, please. So this is just the presentation format. The first part, I'm going to talk about strictly to your question, why I'm here. The second part is to focus on Bank of Industry, what we do, you know, our reach, and how we can strike a connection between your customers now, and of course, they will also tomorrow be my customer. Because essentially, you are into servicing of plants and equipment, and what we do is to provide funding to the customers who need those equipments and plants to run their factories. So you can see there's a connection. So you work with the manufacturers who produce equipment, but you are a marketing person. You are selling the equipment. We provide finance because whoever wants the equipment has to pay for those equipment. That financing is what we are providing because BOI is set up basically to industrialize Nigeria. And you cannot industrialize without creating value, adding value to your vast available raw material resources to produce commodities, items, or services. So there's a connection between what we do and what you guys are doing. Next slide, please. Okay. The trends in the global market, packaging is so strategic. Why is it so strategic? One, sustainability remains top priority in the whole world today. And to be sustainable, there's no way you ignore the role of technology. There's no way you ignore the rules of processing and packaging. So sustainability is very key. And why is that very important? Because consumers are becoming increasingly conscious of impact of habits, tastes, and preferences on the environment. The whole world now speaks of environment. Unlike before, people ignore the environment. But today, you do that at your own peril. So it's important that whatever you are doing, you must consider the environment. And with the population growth trend, it means that all of us must work together to keep this environment. Secondly, companies are responding by adopting more sustainable packaging solutions for their brands. And also, there's a rising increase in e-commerce worldwide. And e-commerce also runs on packaging. Because when you sit in your bedroom and place order for items, for food, that food will be delivered to you in a packaged way. It can't come just coming from the pot. It must be kept in a pack, well sealed, well protected, and it can be delivered to you. And that is packaging. In fact, everything about life revolves around packaging. Everything is packaging. Your dressing, the house you live in, the car you drive, the environment you work in, everything about packaging. So packaging is so critical. Even to production, whatever you produce, if you don't package properly, it's not going to have that appeal. And if there's no appeal, you can't create a good market out of it. You can't create a good brand out of it. So packaging is so strategic. So with e-commerce also promotes the growth of packaging. Technology is driving innovation. Advancement in technology offers new packaging solutions with improved functionalities, convenience, and of course, safety. Then the issue of smart packaging now provides real-time information about the product's freshness, storage conditions, and of course, the usage. Lastly, issue of regulatory compliance. So thank God Madam is here. You know, other government agencies, they don't play with this. Because compliance is also an A-rate area in the world today. You can't afford to do anything anyhow. Things are done in a particular process, in a particular way. Every system runs with a process, and you must comply with those processes if you want that system to run for a very long time into the future. So companies have to comply with local and international regulations that guides that process. And process and packaging companies must navigate a range of regulations related to materials, labeling, and product safety. Next slide, please. So your question focused on 3 industries, even though we have more. So I will strictly talk about food and beverages, pharmaceutical and healthcare, and personal care. But we do far more than that as a bank. We focus on anything that involves value addition, processing. So the whole gamut of agriculture, the whole gamut of solid minerals, you know, furniture making, plastics, you know, fashion. All these are the things we do on a day-to-day basis as a bank. But purpose of to address your question in a later you sent to us, we'll talk about those 3 areas. So food and beverages is a similar sector that we're focusing on. Because process and packaging technologies are extensively utilized in this process. As I said earlier, if I place an order for food now, and I say I want rice, I want beans, I want dodo, they are not going to bring it right from the fry pan. They are going to put it in a package, seal it properly, and they give it to a bag to deliver to a bike man to deliver to me. So that's packaging. The same way, if you're importing things from Germany, it's not going to come in a raw form. They're going to create it in a way that is protected, it is safe, so that I can arrive Lagos and arrive at the factory in a very good condition. I know, you know. So for the pharmaceutical areas, that area also requires technology in ensuring the safety, efficacy, and integrity of pharmaceutical and healthcare products. Proper packaging, therefore, preserves the quality and extends the shelf life of medicine, vaccines, and medical devices. For the personal care and cosmetics, this also relies largely on processing and packaging technologies for the production and marketing of various products such as soaps, lotions, creams, perfumes and cosmetics. All these items are what we fund. Anybody involved in these processes, any equipment used for all this, we can buy it for you at fairly cheaper rates and longer tenure, also giving moratorium. The opportunities in this market space are very, very huge. Why? There's a growing consumer market, which have been said by different people before. Okay? Yeah, I'll be very fast. Okay? So increased population is very, very critical. And of course, huge export potentials. We're talking about FX, exchange rate declining daily. The reason being that we do not export a whole lot of items. And when we export raw. But if we add value, then you're going to add more money when you export those items and you generate more revenue. If you generate more foreign exchange, then your exchange rate will be managed downwards. Then for the agricultural resources, you're looking at Nigeria is rich in various agricultural resources. As Doctor said, there is no part of Nigeria that does not have a product to sell. The difference, however, is ability to convert that product, add value to it so that more uses can be generated from that particular product. Next slide, please. So I tried to look at challenges here. I'll just list some of them. One is infrastructure challenge, which all of us know. Of course, difficult in sourcing packaging materials locally. Again, this comes from technology. The other issue of energy costs. And that is why I'm excited when the German ambassador talked about sustainability and renewable energy to drive production process in a more sustainable manner. And also, limited access to finance. That is where BOI comes into play. That limited access to finance, not just limited access to finance has to come in its right way and terms and conditions. So we are not the commercial bank. We are developing financial institutions. So our objective is to work with manufacturers, to work with producers, to create wealth for our people. And we do that by offering financing at a very cheap rate. Go to the next slide, please. These are regulatory agencies in Nigeria, which also ensure that everybody does things the way it should be. So you have SON, you have NAFDAC, etc. For BOI, what do we do? That is our vision, that is our mission, and that's our mandate. I will talk about the mandate. Please go back a bit. The mandate is to provide financial assistance for the establishment of large, medium, and small projects, as well as expansion, diversification, and modernization of existing enterprises and rehabilitation of existing ones. So I believe that everybody here, you fall within this category. Either your business is doing very well, so it's thriving, or you are thinking of a new business, or the business is moribund because of technology and age. We can help you to get it back to action. Next slide.
We have to go because of the timing, please.
Can I talk about a particular slide on pricing? Please, very important. This is what we do in terms of impact. Industry will focus on. Okay? The next slide. I'm going to leave this slide so that you can actually go through it. The next slide. These are industry work. This is what are structured in business-wise. We have 3 directorates focusing on businesses. So whatever business you are, you will fall within any of these 3 categories. Either you're in the micro space, you are in the SME space, or in the large enterprise space. And all this, we can provide funding for you. The next slide, please. Okay, basically looking at the areas, where we know that finance is a challenge. And why is it a challenge? Especially the SMEs. These are the issues. In the SME space, you have people who don't keep records of their books. You have customers who lack credit history. You have people who don't have lack of bank loan application processes. Of course, high unstructured nature of their businesses, increased exposure to high cost of doing business, lack of trained manpower and managerial skills. These are challenges in SME space. And what we do as a bank is to work with our customers to address all these challenges by training and constant engagement in various sessions, just to ensure that we bridge a gap and put everybody on the same page. Next slide, please. Yes, this is just like advisory. If you want to access funding, these are the things you need to do. You must keep your financial records. You must increase efforts to develop business and technical know-how. Like those of us who are here now, you're actually trying to enhance your knowledge of business processes. It's important. It's part of the training. Engage in technical and capacity building programs, just as we are here now. Adopt digital solution. Technology is running the world, so you can't do without technology. Okay? Also, avoid fraudulent business ideas and get-rich-quick schemes. Take it slowly. You arrive there. You can't rush it. You can't want to be a medical doctor. I want to do that in 3 years. It's not possible. You must do 7 years. It must run its full course for you to come out as a good medical doctor. So in the same way, don't rush. Think big, start small, and grow little by little. You will get there. Then these are some of our products that I'm going to leave this slide. Go to the next one. This is another product. Go to the next one. This is basically how we are structured. You know, in the last, between 2015 and 2022, we have disbursed within the micro space about $1.02 billion. We have to convert that to foreign currency because of the environment we had to do a presentation to. But that's about 379 billion naira. For the large enterprises, we've done about $3.04 billion, about 1.068.5 trillion naira. Okay? And then the enterprises affected. Can you go back a bit? Yeah, within the small and micro spaces, we've actually provided jobs to the tune of more than 5 million people have been employed. And of course, we've engaged more than 4,000 enterprises. And for the large scale, of course, we've done about 1.170. Okay? These are summary. I'm going to leave all this for you to look at in details. The next slide. This also look at additional opportunities. What can we do differently? Okay? Because we cannot do it alone, and we realize that not everybody in business understands finance. What we have done as a bank is to work with service providers, which we call business development service providers. These are accountants and economists who are experts in their right. We are created about 300, spread across the federation. So if you have an idea, and you don't have to convert that to a bankable process, these people can help you, sit down with you, take your raw information, process it in a format that we need, and then they can help you now package the product before you make your application to the bank. So that reduces the rejection rate and ensure that your application succeeds when you're processing. And you can access any of these people from our website. All their BDSPs are listed in our website. The requirement for if you want to apply to the bank, of course, we are also a bit fairly automated. You can apply actually online, and you can visit any of our locations within the federation. We are currently in 31 locations across the federation. No region. We are present in every region of the bank. We have state offices now, 29 states of the federation, including Abuja. We tend to expand that to 36 states very, very soon, and we're ready for business. In Lagos, because of the unique importance of Lagos, we have 3 locations. We're in Marina, where I sit. We're in Ikeja, next door here, and we're in Lekki. And so I will be very happy to see any of you, because our learning facilities are for equipment funding is 10% per annum, and we can do that for 5 years. Okay, and we can give you a moratorium for 6 months or 1 year before you start repaying the facility. For when capital needs, our facility runs for about 3 years, interest rate 12.5% per annum. And of course, we work with you if there are challenges to work on restructuring and ensure that we do business together. Our objective is very clear. We want to work with the manufacturers or people who are into businesses to grow our country so that we can produce locally and grow our country, create jobs for our people, grow our GDP, and live a better life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed. Thank you, sir. Thank you indeed. Well, Igulalumbeni. Well, it's always a pleasure. We've been having gentlemen and business executive come to talk to us. Time for the regulator. May I respectfully call on distinguished Madam Eva Edwards, Director of Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate. Ma'am, welcome. Of NAFDAC. I didn't want to say NAFDAC at first, because when you say NAFDAC, you just remember professor. You just say, it's looking very stern at you that you ain't going nowhere, and guess what? You ain't going nowhere. And she's taught those women, and those women are very compliant. If you are not compliant, now you sabi. Mom, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everybody. Never mind what you see in your programs. I was told I have 20 minutes, so please indulge me. Okay, so please, the topic for today is equipment in food processing, a component of good manufacturing practice. You can move along with me, yes. So I'll very quickly go through an introduction, share with you the mandate of the agency, talk about good manufacturing practices, systems and components, relate good manufacturing practices with equipment in food processing, and then we conclude. So, as has been said by several speakers this morning and afternoon, we live in a rapidly changing world. The world population is estimated to, by 2050, to go up to 9.7, I think about 9.7 billion. And we have rapidly changing patterns of global food consumption. The population to feed is huge, and we're presently in a food systems transformation because we have to feed this growing population with safe, healthy, and nutritious diets. And this creates a very important role and opportunity for the companies. Dr. Alamu of Bells University just shared with us that first quarter of 2023 for Nigeria, the food market is already, I think he said, 231.5 billion just by the first quarter of this year. And also that we are moving towards a population of 400 million Nigerians by 2050. And that's a big opportunity. Apart from being an opportunity, it creates, it's a lot of work to make sure that we can feed this population with safe food. And safety and quality of food, as we all know, we cannot negotiate on what we eat. The food that we eat has to be safe, it has to be of good quality, and it has to meet our nutritional needs. So I'm going to move to the next slide and share with you what our mandate is at NAFDAC. The people who live in Nigeria know who NAFDAC is and what NAFDAC stands for. But for the visitors in the room, NAFDAC is the Food and Drug Regulatory Authority. We were established in 1993. The laws governing the agency is the CAP N1 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. And our mandate is to regulate and control the manufacture, importation, exportation, distribution, advertisement, sale, and use of food, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, packaged water, chemicals, and detergents. And we call these regulated products. But for today, I'm going to dwell on food, the aspect of food and equipment and how it relates to good manufacturing practice. So what are good manufacturing practices? We have heard a lot from the three manufacturers, OEMs, equipment manufacturers today. You have said so much. But I'd like to say that looking at it from the perspective of a regulator, there are other things that we need to pay attention to, and we know that you take these on board when you design equipment to be used in food processing. So all GMP simply speaks to, that's good manufacturing practice, is about consistently producing and controlling. Those words are highlighted for a reason. To the quality standards appropriate to the intended use of the product and as required by its marketing authorization. And so this means that we want to build quality into the products and not rely on end product testing. Next slide. When we speak about GMP, we are usually looking at 6 systems, and that I'm going to dwell on, just look at the number 2, facilities and equipment system. And just let you know, next slide please, you know that GMP also, we can also look at GMP in different components. So once again, I've just highlighted equipment because that's the focus of this presentation. So, food processing. We've heard a lot about packaging today, but that's all part of what you see on the production floor. Because when you're done with the processing, you have to package as well. So why do we process food? Processing takes many forms and it serves many purposes. So the primary purpose is to make food safe to eat, to transform from raw materials to food that is safe to consume, of good quality, that when eaten will not cause harm to the person who has consumed it. Also to add value, to improve the texture, the taste, and the shelf life of the food products. So these are some of the reasons why we process food. And next slide. In processing, as we have heard several times, and we have seen so many equipments today, it's, that has really laid the foundation because you have already seen how complex these equipment are and coming up to what the regulator is interested in once they're on site on the production floor. So food processing involves a wide range of equipment, utensils, as we have seen, and they are for various operations. Could be freezing for dehydration, heat processing, refrigeration, packaging, storage, and much more. Next slide. So why is NAFDAC interested in food processing? And interested goes into food processing. Our main reason is because the equipment that is used, they are potential sources of contamination. And the end game for a manufacturer is to produce a safe product, a quality product. And that's the ownership is on the manufacturer. So the manufacturer is responsible, ultimately responsible, not the regulator. The regulator is simply a verifier. The manufacturer is ultimately responsible for what they offer for sale to the public. So equipment can pose a threat of contamination to food. Could be from metal splinters, could be from lubricants, it could be from the remains of detergents and disinfectants, which were used to clean the equipment if they are not carefully rinsed off, and it could be microbial contamination. If you cast your mind back to all the pictures that we've seen today, you can see how complex these equipment are and, crevices and places where could be difficult to clean. So how do we ensure that the equipment used in processing our food are not potential sources of contamination? There are 4 things we like to say that need to be paid attention to. And that is, the first one is design. So the equipment needs to be of the appropriate design. It needs to be of the adequate size, constructed from materials, and must meet specifications to global standards. The equipment needs to be located in a suitable position within the production space so that cleaning and maintenance are not a problem and the operations can go on efficiently. No, back on that slide. Installation and also cleaning and maintenance. Has installation been properly done? Because if it's not properly done, that could pose a potential threat for contamination. Also cleaning and maintenance. So building up on that, the manufacturing equipment should be designed, located, and maintained to suit the particular purpose for which it is going to serve. So it needs to render itself to cleaning easily. It needs to be located for easy access, for regular maintenance. And there have to be procedures for how to clean, when to clean, how frequently each piece of equipment should be cleaned, and generally to have the facility needs to have a preventive maintenance regime, preventive maintenance program, and the procedures that assign responsibilities to specific individuals who have to carry out the tasks, because the cleaning and maintenance is really important. Next slide. Okay. So what does this manufacturer do? The owner of the, maybe not the owner, but the production staff, production personnel, supervisors, managers, they need to ensure that the list of equipment that require maintenance is readily available. They're on a cycle. They know when and who maintains. And I believe that the three companies who have presented to us today, this is something that you would probably be responsible for if the companies who are here, if they buy into your equipment. Procedures and frequency of maintenance, and based on your manual, the manufacturer's, equipment manufacturer's manual. Next slide. So we're still speaking to good manufacturing practice and equipment in food processing. And we have laid the foundation that the ultimate, what we're essentially after is anything that is going to pose a threat of contamination to the equipment, being that is used in the production of the food items. So the equipment and utensils that directly contact the food surface, the food should be constructed out of material that is, once again, easy to clean and easy to maintain. The food contact surfaces must be inert. They should not be made of toxic materials, and they should be designed to withstand the environment of the intended use. There was an equipment I saw, I think it was from the Schenck group, and I really wondered how that equipment was designed with the, was it Schenck? That showed the video, pulling out parts that had to be cleaned. So these are very complex equipments, and if they are not well designed, taking into account that cleaning has to take place to make sure that contamination does not occur, then it will be a problem. And on the last bullet point, we're speaking to equipments that have to have condensates or the product contact surfaces, that they need to have drains so that the condensate is drains away from the product. And is that for me? The condensate is not coming in contact with the product or the product contact surfaces. We're still speaking to, as an inspector, talking about the equipment and how they should be suitably located. We're speaking to eliminating cross-contamination, maintaining equipment in the appropriate sanitary condition, and ensuring that even equipment that do not come in contact with the food are also constructed in a manner that facilitates their cleaning and maintenance. So we're not only speaking to those that directly contact the food, but even equipment that are within the same space. They need to be easily cleanable and maintained as well. Okay. Now we're speaking to freezer and other cold storage equipment, because these are equipment that need to be fitted with proper measuring devices. And the reason for this is to ensure that the control parameters such as temperature are regulated, because if they are not, and you're not maintaining a cold chain as should be maintained, then it's a problem for the food and contamination and spoilage. We also say that equipment should only have glass if the glass is shatterproof. And they should not be lacquered or painted, and that's because of flaking materials which could get into the food that is being processed. Next slide. Again, we saw some really fancy equipment today, curved conveyor belts, long conveyor belts in direct contact with the food. And we know that this is a potential source, one slide back, please, potential source of contamination. So the conveyor belts need to be of impervious, non-absorbent material. And they should have no holes, no cuts, no frayed edges or damages, because if they have those, then it will be difficult to clean and will present a foreign material hazard. So essentially, your equipment should be free of cracks. They should not be rough around the edges. They should be free of oil leaks and excessive buildup of grease, because these are sources of contamination. And where there are metal-to-metal contact between moving parts, that should really not happen. Also, again, they should be free of flaking paint, rust, and other contaminants. And the reason for this is that this could, while the process is going on, these are contaminants that could get into the food and contaminate the products and render it unsafe for food. At this point, I'm just going to wrap things up a bit and remind you that what we were speaking about from the NAFDAC perspective of an on-site inspector is what we want to see is that there are processes in place to ensure that at the end of the day, what the manufacturer has produced using the equipment that they have in their facility is safe, and that the equipment have not introduced contamination to the process. So we're speaking to cross-contamination. And this is simply to say that if the equipment is not cleaned between different runs of production, and if they're used to run different multiple products, then cross-contamination can occur. And we know the dangers that this can pose. We're speaking about allergens, and we know how people react to allergens. In some cases, people can actually die when they come in contact with allergens, things that they're allergic to. We're speaking to residual buildup. And this is when there are crevices, hidden areas, where there's a buildup of residues, and this creates an environment for microbial growth. And obviously, this is a source of contamination over time, because these buildups, they can be places where bacteria, molds can grow and contaminate the food products. We're also speaking about poor maintenance of the equipment. And this is a very important point to note, that ill-maintained equipment, such as malfunctioning seals, damaged surfaces, can contribute to contamination. And so those make a cleaning not effective. We're also speaking to water quality. What is the quality of the water that is used? What is the quality of the water that is used for cleaning the equipment, and even for as an ingredient in manufacturing, in producing the products? Is it water that is of drinking water quality? Is it potable water? Has it met standards? And if it has not, and not treated adequately, it can introduce contamination to the products. We're also speaking to the compatibility of the materials. Is the material used in the food processing equipment, is it appropriate for that particular food product? Is there a match? And if there is not, then it's a problem. Last but not the least, we have to also remember the human factor, and this is very important, because the humans who work in the establishments can be a source of contamination. So we're speaking to equipment operators. Are they maintaining good hygiene practices? And apart from the equipment operators, what about the other personnel that can also introduce contamination to the processing equipment? So these are things like improper hand washing, not wearing the appropriate protective clothing, and handling equipment. Next slide, and we're rounding up. So how do we mitigate the risk of contamination from food processing equipment? As a manufacturer who is running a food production establishment, we need to establish and enforce strict sanitation protocols. There needs to be a regime for equipment maintenance, regular regime. There needs to be thorough cleaning procedures in place using effective sanitation agents, proper training of the personnel, adherence to food safety regulations and guidelines, and in this case that would be NAFDAC. Those guidelines are available on the websites. And of course, implementing food safety management systems like the hazard analysis and critical control points, which is a preventive system, speaking to contaminants. And also, of course, good manufacturing practices, which speaks exactly what it says. They're good manufacturing practices. So those are the prerequisite programs. If they are not there, guiding what the manufacturer is doing and covering all of those 6 systems that we spoke to, of which facilities and equipment is one of the systems, then we run the risk of not producing a safe product of good quality for the population. Finally, yes, that was... Finally, we've realized from everything we've heard today, I really learned a lot, and I saw a lot from the presentations from the OEMs. Thank you very much. We can see that the food processing industry is very complex. Just taking a look at what those equipment look like and the work that goes into being the supervisor on the production floor. And that system is evolving. Take your mind back to what we said about the population that we need to feed and the things we need to put in place. And we realize also that food processing equipment can indeed be a source of contamination if they are not properly designed, if they are not well located within the establishment, if they are not properly installed, and if they are not regularly maintained and cleaned. And so these equipment play a critical role in good manufacturing practices, and they're very essential. They play a huge contributory role to ensuring that what comes out at the end of the day after the manufacturing process is a safe product and quality product. So manufacturing operations need to be monitored to ensure that mechanical breakdowns, time delays, temperature fluctuations, and uncontrolled events do not contribute to the decomposition or contamination of food, because if that happens, then all the effort that has gone into producing the product has actually gone to waste, and all of that effort is lost. So on that note, I thank you very much. Thank you for having NAFDAC, and I hope that we have earned the privilege of your time. Thank you.
Thank you indeed very much, ma'am. Well, we cannot do much without NAFDAC, but I tell you, this is the biggest of the big. After NAFDAC, you can get NAFDAC certification, but if they say, sorry, we're not happy with this, we have a problem. And because we have equipment manufacturers that you need very, very essentially for your business, we cannot do without the Standards Organization of Nigeria. If there are no standards, we don't have a problem. But since there is standards, we do have a problem that you have to wait and listen and understand and appreciate and be part of them and be certified. That is why we have brought and we're bringing the biggest to the final lap right now. May I call on Engineer Yaya Booker, Director, Standards Organization of Nigeria, to talk to us that if you don't have these standards, you cannot be part of us in Nigeria. Please give him a round of applause. You need NAFDAC, but if you don't have standards, you cannot be workable. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all commend the effort of AMS on behalf of my DG. They have done so well to bring all the stakeholders together. It is my pleasure to present what you have asked us to do. The paper I'm going to present today is leveraging on current trends in global regulations and standards in processing and packaging as catalysts for sustainable and industrial development. I'll be talking to you first about our mandate, and then I'll also tell you about the importance of standard, and then also what we do as a regulator. Now, the Act that we have currently is the Act number 14 of 2015 that has given us the power, the authority to establish standard services and system. We certify products. We establish reference testing laboratories, or we direct you to accredited labs where your test result can be accepted by us. We also register products to ensure traceability. We provide reference test method in our standard that you can follow. And then we also have the National Metrology Institute, the NMI, that provide reference sample standards for calibration. And then we ensure compliance with standard and many others based on the authority provided by our Enabling Act. Next slide. Now, SON represent Nigeria, and on a yearly basis, we pay subscription fees on behalf of Nigeria to remain relevant at the ISO and IEC international level, the CODES, the International Telecommunication Union, the ASO, the AFSEC, the ECOSHAM, that is the ECOWAS harmonization, standard harmonization model, and then the Standard and Metrology Institute for Islamic Council. This one deals with halal. For those that might want to go into halal, and you need standard to be able to get into that. The next slide. Now, based on what I've told you at the international, apart from being membership of those international bodies, continental and regional, we also have collaboration with other national standard bodies. We have MOUs and MRAs with ANSI, American National Standard Institute, the BSI, the South African Bureau of Standard, and the rest of them. We also adopt this international standard. For instance, what we have at the ISO level now, we are harmonizing our standards for export of product into all those countries that have signed into AFCFTA. That is the African Continental Trade Agreement. So we adopt the ISO standard for those that might want to import products from abroad, which are regulated offshore, and for those that might want to export. And then the harmonization of standards at the regional and continental level is what I've just spoken about for the entrance into continental trade. The next level, the next listen. Then we are also members of CASCO, that is conformity assessment, members of AFRAC, that is African Accreditation Council. We are members of COPOLCO and DEVCO. These are all ISO committees. Then what are the benefits of standard? It is very clear that the benefit of standard is to ensure growth and sustainable development of every nation. It ensures consumer safety and value for your money because it will reduce waste. And then standard provide environmentally friendly environment, friendly products that are safe for use. And then it provides effective and efficient production because when you comply with standard, you are going to reduce weight, you ensure compliance to procedures and the rest of them. Then standard products, if you produce in accordance to standard, definitely your product will compete wherever it goes, either at the international level because we adopt international standard, or even within Nigeria. For those ones that are imported into Nigeria, your product will be able to, the local product will be able to compete with those products. And then the regulatory function that will carry out for local product will provide MANCAP certification. If you look at some of these products, you'll be able to see the SON logo on them. It means they have complied with the requirement of the standard. But mind you, those products that have complied with the requirement of the standard locally, you cannot pick those products and begin to export them because they have to comply with the standard wherever it is going to. So in that case, we do what we call product type certification for those ones that you are going to export.